The other bit of news involving millions or potentially billions of dollars in our presidential nominating process is the reporting over the last 24 hours that the two most watched guys whose endorsements are perhaps the most coveted thing in Republican politics, those two guys may have started to express a preference in the nominating process for a certain governor from Wisconsin named Scott Walker. Charles and David Koch appear to have a favorite. We talked about this as breaking news late last night. More today from the New York Times. Quote, on Monday at a fundraising event in Manhattan for the New York State Republican Party, David Koch told donors that he and his brother, who oversee one of the biggest private political organizations in the country, believe that Scott Walker will be the Republican nominee. Quote, when the primaries are over and Scott Walker gets the nomination, Mr. Koch told the crowd. The audience of fellow donors laughed and applauded. So the Republican primary campaign for president of the United States, it has been underway for months already. We have many months to go. But we are getting a better and better look, a more and more acute look at what the primary process is going to be like on the Republican side. For the Republican would-be candidates, the race so far, is about like the guy who runs the Polo apparel store and the unlimited money super PAC taking over the Jeb Bush campaign, which puts the Jeb Bush campaign in the position of being basically a vestigial rump organization. The billionaire Koch brothers giving a nod to Scott Walker at a donor party and that being potentially determinative in terms of the nomination, at least from a Republican perspective. So that is the tenor of the Republican presidential nominating race. That's what it's like on the Republican side right now. It's a public, unapologetic race toward not just money, but toward unlimited money and the most prominent billionaires picking the candidate and then running their campaign. That's what's going on the Republican side. On the Democratic side, the tone and the public face of the frontrunner candidate for president, Hillary Clinton, couldn't be more different right now. That's not to say that Hillary Clinton doesn't also have lots of wealthy donors behind her or that she's not wealthy herself. But the message her campaign is trying to send, the steps that they have taken so far with her as a candidate, are not signaling that she's trying to court the luxury polo apparel barons of America. She's publicly and ostentatiously positioning her campaign in an opposite way. Take, for example, the news of her hiring a well-known former financial regulator, a well-known thorn in the side of Wall Street, a guy named Gary Gensler, to be the chief financial officer for her campaign. Gary Gensler, just for context here, Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren were two key players in creating the post-financial crisis regulations that Wall Street absolutely hates. So picking Gary Gensler, Hillary Clinton picking Gary Gensler, I mean, this is someone who you might expect a hypothetical Elizabeth Warren campaign to hire. But it's Hillary Clinton who is making news for having just hired him at the highest levels of her campaign. Also, Time magazine recently decided to name Elizabeth Warren as one of their most influential people in the country. And that big stunt thing they do every year where they name all the influential people in the world. More interesting than picking her is the fact that the person they got to write about Elizabeth Warren and what a progressive champion she is was Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton wrote basically the testament to Elizabeth Warren, calling her a champion of working families and a scourge of special interests. Elizabeth Warren never lets us forget that the work of taming Wall Street's irresponsible risk-taking and reforming our financial system is far from finished. As a side note, sort of proves the point, I think, the person Time magazine got to write about how great the Koch brothers are in the same issue of the same magazine, writing about Elizabeth Warren is Hillary Clinton. Writing about the Koch brothers is presidential candidate Rand Paul. So in presidential politics, the two parties right now are running as fast as they can in opposite directions. The Republican Party right now is all about openly courting the billionaires. The Democrats, specifically the person who is most likely to become the Democratic nominee for president, Democrats are doing everything they can to send an anti-big money, populist, anti-Wall Street message to appeal to middle-class voters, to be essentially more like the hypothetical Elizabeth Warren presidential campaign that doesn't seem like it's happening. Democrats, in the absence of Elizabeth Warren actually running for president, are trying to sate that need among a Democratic electorate by making themselves into the Elizabeth Warren party right now.